Yeah. Hello, here we are on the Retrocade Podcast. I'm Phil.
Sean.
This is episode 5. We are here today to celebrate everything in the world of pop culture and other garbage. And we've got a fair amount to talk about today. We had a week off, and now we're back, and we're back with a vengeance. And we're going to talk about all sorts of nonsense. Sean, do you have any words to say about that?
Nice. Back after a busy holiday weekend. Get to the grind here.
Happy July 4th to all our listeners. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Saturday, July 4th. What did you do, Sean?
I just went out Delaware Water Gap, some fireworks, some beers. Good time.
Yeah, I went to a friend's barbecue. I hope everybody had a good time, enjoyed it. It was a little rainy here in New York the early day. Did it rain in Delaware?
It did as well.
Yeah, did it?
At least in the morning time, but being in a tent and such, it was rather uncomfortable.
Oh, man, that was probably a pain. But then did it clear up where you were?
It's manageable.
Yeah, because, it was like the early day. Like, I woke up at noon. I'm like, looking all right. And then it started to rain at 2. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to take my time getting ready here. Cause
I had a Death Star book with me, and it got destroyed, essentially.
No way,
water
really?
Damage.
We had some water damage here. Oh,
in
no.
hindsight, you don't bring,
Yeah, you don't bring, like...
cherry with you in the wilderness.
Yeah, no, it's like, I'm going to bring it with me on this...
You're too drunk to read it to begin with.
Yeah, or if it's dark at night.
Throw it in the fire pit.
Yeah, just use it for fire. Yeah, more Kinder. And then, I'm bringing this with me on the water rapids. My graphic novel.
Exactly.
Yes, that might be a choice. But it ended up clearing up in the afternoon, the later afternoon, and it was a decent July 4th, so no complaints. I had a lot of fireworks and stuff, so that was good. And we're not here to talk about fireworks, unless you're talking about the fireworks of drama that's been happening on the set of The Simpsons with Harry Shearer. Like we were talking about this Harry Shearer thing.
Right in the beginning, absolutely.
In episode 1 of this podcast, we were talking about how Harry Shearer was holding out. He didn't want to. He wanted more money. Essentially, he was bluffing. He was using the excuse that I want to do other things and stuff. But that is such a cushy job. He doesn't even go to the table reads. He does it on the phone. He does the table reads on the phone.
One of the things he's gonna do. He's 71 years old.
Right.
He's gonna play bingo. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, what it's an awesome livelihood. You really that done with it that you don't want to do it.
I love that all the articles with him. Simpsons returning. It's all Mr. Burns pictures.
It's all Mr. Burns pictures. Yeah,
he looks like Mr. Burns.
He does have a Mr. Burns.
Grimacing with his little glass and his.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw that picture.
There's so many iconic characters.
Of course,
they're all comparing it for the money, for his age. It's all Mr. Burns.
Yeah, he's practically Mr. Burns at this point. He does look like him. He's got the liver spots too. So so he's returning. I think he signed he signed the deal, and the deal I think is $300,000 an episode. For the 2 seasons, signed a 2-season
about
deal.
$13 million, I believe.
It comes out to $13 million for the probably about. And
I think altogether for the
contract
he signed.
Yeah, so it's $13 million contract for 2 seasons.
$300,000 an episode.
It's pretty cushy.
I mean, it's not the South Park pipeline where it's 5 days, but I'm sure an episode's in 2-3 weeks maximum.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, this is work that he doesn't have to go to LA for. He can do it wherever he is in the world with all his money. Right, you guys worth $60
It's an episode, right? So let's say not that your character's in every episode, but I'm sure he does a pretty wide range.
Yeah.
Because
he's also he's Skinner, he's Kent Brockman, so he figures he's sticking himself.
After commercials, it's about 22 minutes an episode, give or take.
Right.
So if you're your secondary character, you're doing max about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally $300,000. 4
minutes of work. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I get it how he felt that maybe he wasn't getting paid as much as he thought he was worth. Because it's true that the show is sought after, and Fox still, it's still profitable. Sure, they make money from it.
It's so iconic that,
they
can let it ride as long as it could possibly go.
Yeah, they're going to keep milk as cow till, the teats have dried out. And they haven't dried out. They're on for two more seasons. So he does Skinner, he does Dr. Hibbert, Lenny. You need him for Lenny. Ken Brockman, Reverend Lovejoy, Otto.
Lenny has a maximum of maybe 6-7 lines an episode. He says something smirk.
Yeah.
He's with his buddy Carl. They're in the background.
Carl.
But his comedic value is fantastic.
Oh,
Lenny's
it's gold.
Amazing character.
I love when
definitely underutilized for sure.
I love when they bring there was an episode and they were like, oh, and Lenny was hurt, and they're like, not Lenny. So it's so ridiculous, but so that it's good to have him back, and because it would have been weird to have probably the last 2 seasons of The Simpsons without one of the main cast members. There's main but secondary. I mean,
Flanders. I mean, come on.
You're not gonna have Flanders. I mean, they were gonna replace the voices of these characters, so that would have been a little weird. And so hopefully, it's all gonna work out. It's for the best, and they're gonna keep rolling with it.
Apparently, once his contract's done, he'll hit 625 episodes.
He'll have done that many? Oh, once the contract's out, that's how many episodes?
625 episodes.
Jeez.
It's a ridiculous, absurd number.
I mean, I would assume, now that there's, Japanese anime shows or, kids' cartoon shows that are, literally daily shows that they have a new one every day. But is there... how many TV shows have had more episodes than The Simpsons?
None. It's... Flintstones was number 2. And
Flintstones
Simpsons passed that about 10 years ago.
Really? So there's no Japanese shows? Because remember there was a lot of even the Pokemon show was a 5 days a week in Japan.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z's, but
Dragon Ball Z
had 9 seasons.
That was
Simpsons is on about 20 something.
But the Dragon Ball Z had more episodes a season though, didn't they?
I would have to look at the complete specifics, but an average season it has about 50 episodes.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question, but
I'll take a little gander because
But I mean, if you look at the Simpsons, they're still going relatively strong. Not that I'm so integrated as I was.
They're still pulling strong. I mean, listen,
they're averaging about 7.5 million an episode. That's not bad numbers at all.
That's
Those
the
aren't
profit
poultry.
margin,
No, that's the viewers per episode.
Oh, the viewers. Oh, sure, yeah.
It's not a paltry number.
No, I mean exactly. They probably. I'm not sure. I think they do better than Bob's Burgers. They probably do similar to numbers to Family Guy, maybe a little less than Family Guy at this point.
Family Guy, when it first came out, it was hilarious.
Oh, what, the first few? See, I didn't watch Family Guy until right around the time, I think right before they got canceled. See, they got canceled.
I think a friend of ours had the DVD.
Yes. Steve Sperlin brought around the DVD. Steve, he was on episode 1. He brought around the DVDs, and he's like, oh, check this out. And Steve's always on the new edge of stuff that I don't want to get into. I'm like, nah, I'm fine with The Simpsons, So he brought around the DVD, and we watched. I was like, oh, it's all right. And I really got into Family Guy maybe in 04, 05, the later years of my high school. And 05 was when, a lot of episodes that I started really loving them. They did, the one where Stewie and Peter go to Disney World or whatever. Disney World. And then they do, a lot of references to Indiana Jones. Kalima, cover your heart. And so that's when I, those
but
were,
they beat the premise to death. It was great. But you watch it, I can't.
Oh, the cutaways?
I don't have the patience for it. I really don't.
Yeah, you know what? Now the episodes are weird now with Family Guy. They're weird in the sense that, because what happened was they were doing so many cutaways that people said, oh my god, enough of the cutaways. Then they stopped with them, and it was and it was these weird premises, like the episode where it's just Stewie and Brian, and they're locked in the bank vault, and then he's making Brian eat his puke and diarrhea. Yeah, I don't really find that too funny.
It gets a little much.
Yeah, it's a bit much, especially because little kids do watch this show.
I think the South Park is much better done. It's more relevant. It's crass. Yeah. You have Hartman with his Jew comments and such.
Hey, that's racist.
But no, I'm just making a reference to the general theme of the show. But
yeah.
At least it's relevant. It's more cutting edge.
Well, that's what you kind of have to do because, they said on the South Park,
parodies pop culture.
Simpsons did it, so you might as well just whatever events are happening in current events or pop culture, you make sure that you make fun of that stuff. You do the parody on that because otherwise you're going to be looking for all these ideas that have already been rehashed a million times over. Simpsons did it already. So any kind of thing that you've thought about doing, it's been done, so you might as well just make fun of the current events of pop culture and things like that, and you get a laugh of that. And then when you go back, and it's to say that
26 seasons. I mean, come on, it's
26 seasons.
It's very impressive ground. Essentially, almost my entire life they've been on the air.
They've been on since '89. And I mean, since the 80s. I mean, and before that, since the
it.
80s, And before that, they were, then Tracy Ullman show. They started off as, a side filler material. That's even, I think, they say that they use that term, crudely drawn filler material. I think that's even a Simpsons website now, crudely drawn.
There was a lot of filler material though, the Mr. Bill and SNL, the little claymation. He always gets killed. Oh,
or Spy versus Spy.
Oh, again, Mad TV.
Mad TV. You know, like so similar stuff like that. But Simpsons was able to get their own show, and look what it turned.
There was nothing else that was even relatively close to it either.
No.
I mean, it's comedic, but it had family values where you could watch it as a child with your father or what.
Yeah. Like, you see, I would be uncomfortable watching a lot of shit that they have in Family Guy now with, like, family members.
Like, you watch it with a 5-year-old. It's, like, terrible. Well,
that's what I'm saying. A few years back, I'm going to say 3 years back, I was at my friend Mike's house, and his nephews, Mike's nephews were there, and they're all like little. One of them is like 7 years old, and he's got like a Stewie doll, and I'm like, oh, they watch Family Guy. That's nice. And then he's doing the bit to me. He's like, where's my money, man? But like from when Stewie, and he's like saying this. He's a little kid, and I'm like, this little kid watches that. It's like, Stewie violently beating up the dog. So these kids get desensitized quick with this stuff. Don't just think it's a comedy meant for adults, but these kids watch it. They might not get all the jokes. They definitely don't get all the jokes.
But it's still, over their heads and not in a good way.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's how I remember in the earlier 90s, my dad felt with me watching The Simpsons. I don't like you watching The Simpsons. He didn't like it. It's like, it's The Simpsons. It was edgy before South Park came out.
It gave us a few ideas to be a little destructive in the schoolyard, but it wasn't outrageous.
No, it wasn't out over the top. I mean, like I remember I think Barbara Bush had said, she was like, they hated the Bush family. The Bushes hated the Simpsons. They had once said, the American people should be aspire to be more like the Waltons and less like the Simpsons. The Waltons was like an old, I think 60s, like wholesome white family, So they didn't like the Simpsons.
They also had a tirade against Mortal Kombat at the same era, which the Simpsons also parried.
Yeah.
They were, wanted to just desensitize the American youth.
Yeah. Oh, no, this is bad for kids.
All that does is backfire. When you're like, hey, everyone, you can't play this game. What are you going to do?
Yeah, they're going to play it. I'm going to go to the arcade and play that shit more. I mean, that happened.
Blockbuster, what have you.
That happened with South Park came out, too. Parents, look to ban South Park and with Marilyn Manson and all that because they would come trying to say Marilyn Manson was
massively popular.
Yeah, and then they're trying to say Marilyn Manson was the cause for the Columbine, stuff. But it's
if you ban a book, you ban anything. You want what you can't have. You immediately need to acquire
you make it more enticing.
It becomes a commodity.
Yeah, you make it more enticing. It's like, that rare thing that they banned. Why did they ban it?
And
I want to see
example that was like with the blood and the gore. The Sega Genesis version was much more blood, uncensored. The Super Nintendo was like edited, censored down.
Right.
The Sega sold outrageous amount more sales than the Super Nintendo because people wanted the blood and the gore.
The blood and the gore. In fact, I had a Sega Genesis before I had an SNES, and I remember my dad was like. He was like, well, I think I might have been 5 at the time, and he made the decision. It was a good decision, like something I would do as a dad. Instead of getting my kid a Wii U, I get them a PlayStation 4 because you figure they grow into it and they'll like it because it's more of an they'll be
less childish.
It's less childish, even though I was a child. And then but there were so many good games on the SNES that all people like kids my age played. I wanted one too, and I ended up getting an SNES before an N64, and but because it had so many good games, and you wanted to play Super Mario World. You wanted to play, all these kids talk about Mega Man X, and everybody's talking about Donkey Kong Country or whatever.
I remember my neighbor. Well, Street Fighter was big to me at the time.
Street Fighter 2 was huge. I was
just
playing on an emulator the other day
with friends on my block, the neighborhood kind of element, which doesn't even exist anymore, really. But I had an NES. My father.
I had an NES briefly, very briefly.
But I held on to it for a long time. I didn't really have the Genesis Super Nintendo. Then I got 64 right when it came out.
Really? So you didn't have an SNES?
That pretty heavy. I played at my neighbor's house and stuff like that, or borrow or Genesis, my cousin. But I made that giant jump from NES to 64.
That's a big jump right there.
It's like skipping 7 years.
Yeah, it is skipping 7 years of the world. It's true. It's like because it was a huge jump from SNES or Sega Genesis to N64 because N64 there's real 3D graphics. What? Like 3D worlds, not just the linear.
Super Mario 64 was outrageous game when it came out. It was just
Super Mario.
Unbelievable on every level. I mean, it's still playable to this day. But when it first came out, it's an open world.
I still haven't gotten 120 stars. I got 110.
I don't even got 100. Maybe in the 80s.
I beat the game. I think you need 80 something to beat the game.
I never replayed it. No, I think you beat the game in the 50s. So I don't.
Oh yeah, you might be right.
But there's some stars that are ridiculous.
Pain in the ass to get. I never bothered.
Replayed it, but
Steve got 120. He got. Look at you. In fact,
you see like a disgusting
people
Yoshi.
People didn't believe him about the Yoshi, and he took a Polaroid of it and brought it to school because people didn't believe him. And
well, Pictures float around like Nintendo Power. They had a picture of it. You would
Well, this is say this was 96 or 97, so it's before everybody really had internet. I didn't get internet till 99 or 98. So not everybody
90s,
had internet.
Maybe 97, 98.
Yeah, I think maybe I got it in late 98. No, really probably summer 99 because everything at that point was Napster, Winamp, and I remember the song Smash Mouth All Star was big. Hey now, you're that summer.
Oh God.
With that movie that came out with
Rat Race.
Rat Race. Rat Race was the next summer.
They had Mouth Mash in Rat Race.
Smash Mouth. They did.
The Bar Museum.
I was thinking of Mystery Men though. Smash Mouth. I think Rat Race was 2000. Let's go check
Similar-ish
it.
movies.
Similar schlock, fucking like comedy movies, and but
Pee Wee Herman was in Mystery Men, surprisingly.
Of course, he was the one that he would fart. That was his that was his talent.
Hank Azaria was in it as well.
Hank Azaria was it. He was the fork. That's the voice of Mo and Apu.
I didn't see the entire movie, but I do remember.
Oh, Mystery Man! I've seen it a million times, and I actually saw it in theaters. Rat Race was actually 2001, so that was actually later. I think
Rat Race I saw numerous times. Great movie. I don't know.
Yeah, that was
the replay value, how good it is. But at the time, it was
exactly 14
phenomenal.
Years ago. Yeah, July of 2001. But I remember. In fact, I remember because I had a tongue ring in 2001, and I remember one of my teachers.
The character, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the kid had a tongue ring, and I remember one of our teachers, Miss Magliacco. It was like one of those. It was actually in the summer, right after the movie come out, and and there was something going on at Petrides at the school that we were at, and she came up to me and she was like, "Oh, I seen that movie Rat Race, and one of the characters had a tongue ring, and it reminded me of you." I was like, "Oh, it's great."
Yeah. She was awful.
Yeah, she was really nice that day, but she could have been. She was tough sometimes in class. So, and she was younger and probably older now. They're all if they're even alive. But
so
that's how old we are.
I heard this from the Kevin Smith podcast, but
ooh,
the Batman Superman. I guess they had some big film conference in Europe, and they released
the pictures,
some more pictures, some more footage. They tied in a little Suicide Squad with it.
Yes.
But it was the highlight of the show, and people were just
definitely raving about it.
So yeah, I took a gander this morning.
You like that?
Oh man, it looks crazy.
So Wonder Woman is in the movie then?
Correct.
She's in the movie.
There's a character not in costume, but there's a still with Bruce Wayne, her kind of in regala.
I'll post those on the Retrocade Facebook page.
Dressed up.
Yeah, they got all the pictures. So it's essentially Bruce Wayne and Wonder Woman. They're like at a gala or something.
They're all dressed up.
They're dressed up as Bruce, like not as Batman and Wonder Woman, but as Bruce Wayne and
Diana was
whatever her name is.
Diana was her name. So
yeah, exactly. That's Wonder Woman's real name. So
there was rumors about Chris Pine, which people would know from the Star Trek movies.
Naturally,
Kurt.
Chris Pine, yeah.
So he was gonna play Wonder Woman's assistant.
I heard about that. Yeah, he was supposed to play, or love interest or whatever.
Steve Trevor.
Yeah. Is that her love interest? Because I'm not.
Like a love interest.
Yeah.
He's like a normal. He's like some CIA military guy.
Okay.
But he's like a normal
He's a normal superhero guy.
She's just like beautiful Amazon.
Yeah, she's Amazonian.
Has all these
woman.
powers and such.
Right.
Dude, this civilian guy, like, it doesn't make sense.
I did hear that.
Plus,
I did hear he was going to get cast for the movie.
It's always been like random things within the comics. I've heard like dabbling with Superman and such.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well.
This guy, Steve Trevor. What do you have on Superman? Nothing. Like you're,
yeah, you're just
ant.
regular schmo. But so you do like what you see with these pictures? They are interesting. What do you think of the cast for Wonder Woman?
We'll also say with the Chris, but he's going into Green Lantern now, which
he's going.
DC's very ambitious with this stuff.
Yeah, well, they have to be.
But the picture is another cool picture, which reminds you of the famous Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns graphic novels. Is also a really good animated movie. They made it into 2 parts.
Oh yeah.
He kind of wears this like tankish armor to fight Superman.
Batman and it's apparently encrusted in kryptonite to fight him. I'd heard that.
He had like kryptonite type weapons. It's not encrusted in kryptonite.
I thought the suit was encrusted in kryptonite.
He something in his gloves and
okay.
They kind of have missile like.
Yeah, have like kryptonite rockets out of it.
Green Arrow because it takes place.
It's very Iron Man-esque, which I kind of groaned when I first saw it. I was actually at Star Wars Celebration when I first saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that might as well be Iron Man versus Superman."
Because you're thinking of recent Iron Man, but when the suit initially came out, it was like in the late '80s. It was not as Iron Man as you think it was.
Yeah,
it's just kind of an armored suit.
So the suit was in the Frank Miller.
Yes.
Okay.
And they fight at the end. I mean, Batman inevitably can never really beat Superman, but he could do these tricks and
that's why to me, and not to offend any Superman fans, but I always felt that the character of Superman was a little less interesting because, you know, if he's in a fight scene, you don't really ever fear him dying because he doesn't, you know. I know that he died in the comics in the 90s, I think. I remember
the number one selling comic of all time, Death of Superman.
I remember that
at 93, 94.
I think it was a little later than that. It might have been 95 or something because I remember going into my my local comic book store, Alternate Realm in Staten Island.
That's also been closed probably.
Yeah, that's been closed for 12 years now. Oh, it says 92, I think. But
there you go.
So I remember going in there, and they had it on the shelf or whatever, and I was like, oh wow, Superman dies? This is interesting. Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
I think it was Doomsday.
Doomsday kills him. I think so. I didn't read it. I was more into.
Like, no one stays dead. I mean,
I don't know what I was into.
Wolverine died recently in the comic books, and he'll be making an appearance real soon.
I mean, Superman, the character, has been around for 80 years, so.
I think I want to say 39 was issue 1 of Action Comics, which recently sold at auction, mint condition, for $3.2 million. $3.2 million.
Yeah.
You gotta realize this is pretty much prior to World War II.
Yeah, it's June of 1938.
This is pretty much before the war.
And then they had the TV show with Lloyd Reeves or whatever his name is, the original Superman.
It's a very iconic character. And the funny thing is the creators of Schuster.
Yeah, George Reeves, yeah.
Schuster is one of them. I forgot the other guy's name. They were living relatively, you know.
Schuster and Emma? Or?
They're from Brooklyn, you know, Jewish guys from Brooklyn. And they were living relatively poor when the Christopher Reeves movie came out. And DC was like, these guys, because they got no like copyright, stuff. They got no credit, no money,
none of that. Yeah.
So they're like, wow, these guys are kind of living almost in poverty. And
Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, I think.
Siegel, that's it. Yeah. These so they kind of like at the end of their days, they're like probably in their 70s when the Reeves movies were coming out.
Right.
They're living pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
Minimalist. Like fringe in like some crappy apartment. So they took care of him in their last days at least. They saw some recognition while they were still alive. It might have been only a few years, but they did get credit for it at the very end.
Yeah, that's so.
Even though millions upon billions are made up these people,
and it's still being made today.
They are eating, you know, sardines.
Yeah,
for
these
dinner
guys are like, you know,
ratty apartment. The Lower East Side.
Yeah, like in some ratty apartment, like the ceiling's leaking. Yeah, and exactly. I mean, similar thing happened to Stan Lee. You know, Stan Lee made all those characters, and then they sold Marvel Entertainment. And look, the guy should, if imagine making all those characters. You'd think he'd be worth billions of dollars. You know, look, George Lucas made just Star Wars. He made Indiana Jones too.
But he had more control of the likeness, and he kept on to it.
He held on to the merchandising rights. Now that's a slick move. He did that by accident, but still, yeah.
There's a lot of
but he's worth the billions, and poor old Stan Lee's worth only $50 million. You know, you would think he'd be worth like billions.
Astronomical.
Yeah, he should be worth billions, but because look at all the milk being milked from that, all of that X-Men.
That reminds me of like
Spider-Man,
the Beatles. Might got their catalog.
Yeah, he bought the whole catalog
right under them sneakily.
I'm gonna take that. Didn't he had to sell it? I think for like $400 million something. It was pretty cheap, you know. At the time, at the time, might have been the fair price, but nowadays it sounds cheap.
No.
His estate, Michael Jackson's estate right now is doing better than when he was alive. I think he made $50 million last year as estate, just from all the stuff that he still owns. He owns a big piece of Sony Entertainment.
Yeah, he has a nice chunk because they had some like deal with the albums, his new albums.
Yeah, his albums are still generating sales.
Give me a percentage of whatever, and I need a percentage of the company.
Yeah, exactly.
But genius scheming.
Yeah, he's forgetting.
Lots of baseball players, that's
Yeah. That's you could do a whole episode on all of that. But
these ambitious DC projects, I mean, Marvel really took the lead with the movies, I would say, with the first Spider-Man.
Come on, definitely. Marvel is running that. Like, when you think of all these, even though some of them weren't as big as expected, like this year you had Age of Ultron 2, which, people kind of...
It's been a strong song. We'll see how Ant-Man does.
And
Ant-Man's riding strictly on the coattails of Guardians.
Absolutely.
Because Guardians of the Galaxy... Me being, I'm a Thanos fan, which is a big villain in the Marvel canon.
Yeah.
I knew them from him fighting in Thanos Imperative. But they were a relatively obscure, kind of really alien ragtag team.
Right.
So in a marketing perspective, people are like, "Who are the Guardians?" The kids didn't know them. They didn't have TV shows.
Right.
There's no cartoons.
Exactly. They were pretty unknown property to young people. Like when I seen the trailer, I was like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "No." But I did think I was like, "You know what? I'll bet you this will do okay because it's a Marvel movie. Marvel's huge right now, and people are gonna go and see it. Look how good it did. You know, it was huge.
We'll see how Ant-Man does. I honestly don't think it will be as successful.
I'm
as
sure
Guardians.
it'll do better than Terminator Genesis, which has got 4th place the opening weekend.
I would like to see it.
I haven't seen it yet. I hear mixed, terrible things about it.
I'm going in with low expectations.
I heard it's pretty convoluted. You know, I went in Terminator Jurassic World with low expectations, and I was satisfied.
Jurassic. As I said, so far I would say Mad Max 1, World 2, but Jurassic was fantastic.
Yeah, for big blockbuster movies this year, like excluding like smaller ones, like like good ones like Ex Machina or anything like that. But I would definitely say Mad Max is the best action movie. Jurassic World at a close second. The level of blockbuster, and maybe third Kingsman. Was that this year?
That was
2014.
Yeah,
it was probably November.
That movie I haven't seen yet, but I also heard
Kingsman
very good.
was good. Yeah, that was. Well, it says February this year, but I mean, the thing was released overseas in 2014, but it was released in February this year. But so if it was released in February this year in the States, I would put that at a third, because I'm making that better than Avatar 2. I mean, Age of Ultron 2. Age of Ultron #1 in my opinion was much better than Age of Ultron 2.
I mean, Avengers. There's no Age of Ultron.
Yeah, Avengers 1.
I'm more excited for Fantastic Four. I think the next movie coming out.
That's August?
Soon. I'm a huge Doom fan. One of my favorite villains. Stanley was very disappointing. The last Doom was shit. It was terrible.
He freaking went out so easily in the first movie.
He's just like weenie, vain.
Yeah.
I mean, Doom's more of a dictator than he's vain. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of disfigured, so he's not really vain. He's more about power.
Yeah.
So the character was just done poorly. He
Yeah.
didn't really think into Vane's kind of. He's like a sorcerer dictator. He's not a fucking model. So
Yeah.
Get it through,
That
you
movie.
gotta get the character correct. Oh, Jessica Alba, yeah, she's a smoke show. But her acting was horrible.
Movie sucked.
The Thing was a joke,
I thought he was alright. As the Thing. What's his name? Michael Chiklis. I'm the Thing.
The way he was just portrayed, he looked like an orange fucking block of shit.
That's how he was in the cartoon. I remember the cartoon.
This one's like CGI'd and it looks a lot.
Okay, they did motion capture for him. That's better. They did just the suit for him the last time.
Well, if you look at the Suicide Squad stills, the Croc kind of has the same hulkish, stupid look.
True.
So I don't know, he's not even in the Suicide Squad. So I don't even know what his tie-in is.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? Is he he fighting against them? Is he fighting with them?
Batman's the one kind of fighting against, but I think he just has a brief cameo.
The picture looks good. I mean, of the Killer Croc, he looks pretty badass.
And the Riddler's missing, which he wasn't with them, but he was kind of an anti-hero. He was fighting along with them.
Right.
He helped them out when they needed him to,
Yeah.
But he's not in it. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm basing this off the animated movie.
I've got medium hopes.
Assault on Arkham.
Oh, yeah.
Very well done. The Joker was absolutely fantastic. But it's loosely based. Obviously, it's not completely, in sync with it. But we'll see. But that's what I'm ultimately excited for, is a DC flicks more than Marvel. Because Marvel, Civil War. But Civil War is played. It's been done. I mean, not in a movie form. But
I hope they do it well, and it's not like you walk out and be like, yeah. You kind of like you were with Age of Ultron, because that's how it was. It was like you walk out of Age of Ultron, you're chopping yourself tremendously with all these special effects. Look, a whole island was about to crash into Earth with nuclear weapons, and then and you left like, eh.
The highlight was definitely the Scarlet Witch. She was
good.
Cool
she
character,
really
mysterious.
That's the third Olsen girl.
Elizabeth Olsen, correct?
Yeah, she's good. She was in Godzilla. She was like,
she was.
They looked so young to be like a couple with a kid. And they are so young.
Does she have a kid? She's like 17 in that movie.
How old is she? Yeah, exactly.
The mid-20s. She's probably 25.
Yeah, mid-20s at best. I mean,
no, but James Spader was just highly annoying as Ultron. The Ultron was done terribly because in the comics he was such a brute force.
Yeah, he was all right.
To move on, did you see the new Proton pack that was?
Yes. So now the new Ghostbusters movie, the Paul Feig flick with what's her name? They've got all the new girls. Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy and all them. So they released photos.
So maybe they'll make a gay Ghostbusters next year. The female one.
We have a female one.
Then they'll do a gay one.
I mean,
do like a quadracial one, like an Asian guy, a black guy.
There should be like
Mexican guy.
There should be a multiracial Ghostbusters. No more white guys and the token black guy. That's too 80s. Look, 80s the original Ghostbuster was. They're smoking cigarettes. They're eating Twinkies. Like you would never
Chinese food.
Yeah, they're eating that. Yeah, they had Chinese food. This magnificent feast represents the last of the petty cash, and so nowadays. Yeah,
United Colors of Ghostbusters,
Yeah. So we got the picture of also Melissa McCarthy in uniform. Let's take a gander at this. And
she looks like a plumber in real life, so it's not too far off, I don't think.
I know, man. I know you're really harsh on her. She was funny in Bridesmaids. So here,
Are you watching that with the gay Ghostbusters? Is that you?
Here's the picture of her. So the picture right here, she is in the uniform, and she looks pretty good. I mean,
she does look like a natural plumber.
Yeah.
It's not too far off.
Yeah, so.
It's either gigantic marshmallow man or she's fixing toilets.
You think?
They're all pretty relative.
You think she'll be the Stay Puft in this new movie?
It's possible, but you'll offend someone here or there.
So the uniforms look pretty standard. It's the same logo. It's the original Ghostbusters logo on the patch.
You can't touch that. That would be sacrilege.
It's not like the Ghostbusters 2 logo where he's got the stupid 2 coming out of his fingers, So it's the original. It's the original.
It's a good question. How many fingers do ghosts have? That's never really
I think
a known fact.
The little character in the picture's got like 3 fingers.
I think just how many movies he grows another thing.
Yeah, exactly. He's given the 2 for Ghostbusters 2, and
we all know the Simpsons have 4 fingers. Like,
that's iconic. Well, can you name the one Simpsons character that has 5 fingers?
Ooh, that's some good trivia.
You like that, right?
I'm gonna have to pass on that one.
You don't know?
I don't have a guess.
It's 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 God. The character God had 5 fingers.
That's not a canon.
What happened?
It's not a canon figure.
Well, it's not like a Burns or anybody, but the only time that they had animated a character in the show that had 5 fingers was when Homer was walking with God. God had 5 fingers.
Gotcha. Not to go on a Simpsons tangent again.
Yeah, not to go back on the Simpsons. We'll finish.
No, that's an interesting
little factoid tidbit. Yeah, and but I'm. Not that I'm gonna say I'm excited. And you also have Thor as Janine Melnitz in this movie, which.
Wait, so Thor's playing a secretary.
Thor's playing secretary. Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna be playing a love interest.
It's appealing for the female masses, but every Ghostbuster
pandering. You feel it's pandering. You're a pandering cuck.
Ghostbuster, fan essentially is. It's a strict market with the 18 to 40 males.
I would say younger than that. I would say the 8 to 65-year-old males.
It's mostly guys. Don't remember this movie. Oh, Bill Murray, my father watched it.
Well, I meant the idea of Ghostbusters does appeal to children. You had the real Ghostbusters. Children liked it, and children would have liked this new one. If it's all women, is it going to appeal to little girls?
I'm still going to watch it.
Of course I'm going to see it.
It's not sexist by any means. It should be a decent movie, but it's just changing the concept so drastically that I have to be skeptical.
Yeah, did they need to make it because it kind of comes off as like pandering. It comes off as a gimmick. It's an all girls Ghostbusters. Yeah, like you couldn't you just maybe mix the group?
So remember the cartoons? Even I love the real Ghostbusters.
I loved it too. Great. It's
actually on my list.
They have a lot of seasons. They got 200 episodes of good stuff.
Purchasing something I don't need but I need is the complete series on DVD.
I have it. They sell them on eBay and Amazon.
You can buy them on Amazon. It's probably about $100 range.
Yeah,
it comes with a little firehouse kind of holder.
Yep.
But that show is amazing.
I tell you,
part of my childhood.
That was one of the darker because in the mid '80s,
animation's very crude. It's '80s
crude.
animation.
I love that crude '80s animation.
Absolutely,
before everything was digitalized. Digital color, digital everything.
And all the stills and the
frames. It was all cells. It was all cell animation.
These cells you get them for about $30-$40 a pop. If you get,
if cells,
nicer looking cells are worth more money if you have a cool picture or a
big
signed
one or anything. Yeah.
If you have Slimer in the bathroom, no one really wants that. But.
Yeah, no, those are awesome.
As I was saying, they also came out in the Extreme Ghostbusters 10, 15 years later.
Yeah, that was in the I think later 90s, early 2000s.
5th grade, 6th grade, something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll see right now. This what year?
I want look how many seasons. I want to say maybe 2 at the top.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
It was just an awful show. These random characters that didn't really gel.
That's kind of when I heard they were gonna make a new Ghostbusters. That's kind of how I thought they were gonna.
You had like some guy in a wheelchair and like.
Yeah, it was a wheelchair character. They had a disabled character, a black dude, and they had Egon as like and the chick. That's kind of how they should have did the new one. I felt when I heard about it in Ghostbusters, I figured, they'll do it like that. They'll just do like a mishmash of characters, and that might work. You know, you have funny, doofy people that are different. You make fun of their differences. And I thought that was the way that they were gonna do it originally when I had first heard that they were gonna make another movie. But it oh my God, its first episode date was September 1st, 1997. Its final episode date was December 4th, 1997.
Yeah, wow.
It lasted
half a season,
18 episodes. Yeah, that was it. So I
remember watching it, being like, "This kind of sucks."
I mean, is this accurate? Because it's showing me. I'm looking over here. It says 97. Then it says something about 2001.
What's funny though?
No, I think it just lasted 97.
What people don't realize with Ghostbusters is the cartoon had to be Extreme Ghostbusters. 1 season,
40 episodes. Oh yes,
because there was a regular Ghostbusters.
The real Ghostbusters had to be
before the movies.
That's right.
And it had like a bear.
Yes,
it was such a weird, ridiculous thing.
I got a good story about that. So I'm a young kid, and I'm say maybe 5 or 6 years old in the earlier 90s, and I told my dad, I love the real real Ghostbusters cartoon, blah blah. And my dad, thinking the good dad that he was, he what he did was he was like, oh okay. So he goes out and I guess he sees a VHS of quote unquote the Ghostbusters. And he buys it for me, and it's the thing that you're talking about. It's this wannabe Ghostbusters, which actually came out before the original Ghostbusters movies, and that's why the real Ghostbusters had to be the Ghostbusters. So I'm looking at it like, what is it? This isn't the Ghostbusters,
This is a gorilla. Initially it was
a
live action.
I'll put it, yeah.
I have the.
It was just called Ghostbusters, not
It was the Ghostbusters.
Oh, I'm looking at it. It says Ghostbusters with a ghost, and it's from.
Well, I'm looking at the live action. I guess you have the animated.
Oh, you have a live.
What year is your?
I remember the animated one, Ghostbusters series.
1986.
Yeah, well, this is 86. So this is weird. So it came out.
Yes, the ghost. Here you go.
Oh, but it's based on Filmation's 1975 live-action television show. Okay, I'm talking about the cartoon. See, the cartoon is what my dad got me a VHS.
But he looks at this, little friendly ghost.
It's actually very similar.
How did they get away with this?
Yeah,
this is mind-boggling.
So it was. I'll put up a picture of the live-action
65 episodes
of the cartoon, right? That's the cartoon?
Yes, 65 episodes.
Because, I'm looking at the wiki for this show in 1975, The Ghostbusters.
That one's only 15 episodes.
The live-action show, only 15 were produced. Yeah, he's got like a gorilla, not a bear, it's a gorilla with a fez on his hat.
The gorilla there was a bear, I definitely... maybe it was a gorilla, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was a giant animal that, like, talks.
Yeah, and it was like... And this is real, this is live action. But I remember the cartoon, because like I said... my dad gave me a VHS. I'm like, what is this shit? And it was the cartoon. And it's funny because I guess they made this cartoon, whoever decided to make this cartoon after the success of the Ghostbusters movie, they said, hey, why don't we, reprise this Ghostbusters show
while it's popular.
Yeah, while the concept is popular, and then the real Ghostbusters came out.
Many disappointed kids are like, "Oh, cool, Ghostbusters,"
exactly. Myself included.
Like, what is this stupid gorilla? Who is
what
this?
is this? This isn't the Ghostbusters like I know.
Crap.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. I VHS and I see the stupid
bear. You are the
bear.
many victims of this ploy.
Yeah, it was just they conned us. They apparently it was like a slap. At least the original show was like slapstick. In fact, I got the
I'm looking at the names. The Tooth Scaries.
I've got right here.
Rat.
There's actually full episodes of it on YouTube. So
it's funny. Haunter, which is actually a Pokemon. That's
Haunter. It's wow. The funny thing is that I'm looking at
Fib Face.
One of the episodes from it on YouTube, and it's got 231,000 views. A lot of negatives though, because people are getting
This ruined my Christmas. 1985.
Yeah, exactly. It's very a lot of people probably feel scorn from this show.
The only reason I knew about that was because the cartoon had to be called The Real Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Because the title was taken for this awful.
Exactly. There was the copyright. The copyright belonged to the people that owned the original The Ghostbusters. And then so when the TV show, for Ivan Reitman's Ghostbusters popped out. They needed to call it the real Ghostbusters.
It's actually pretty remarkable. So its run was from September 8th, 86 to December 5th. Similar to the Extreme Ghostbusters.
Wow, it doesn't last too long.
But they piped out 65 episodes. Within like a...
Wow. But that's my point, is that a lot of these cartoons, they're quick and they blast them out. Like Pokemon was an everyday show, like 5 days a week. Like you know.
Original Turtles was similar to that.
Yeah, exactly. Just tons and tons of episodes that they just spit out, you know, it's for kids to watch every single day. And, yeah, so that's interesting. The original Ghostbusters show, TV show, cartoon, not the real Ghostbusters, lasted around the same time as around the same amount as Extreme Ghostbusters. I do remember the Extreme Ghostbusters. The only thing that was, like, drawing me to looking at the Extreme Ghostbusters was the toys. I was like, well, maybe they'll have similar toys. You know, because I was still, you know, I was like, well, maybe they'll have toys that are cool. And they didn't. They were like wannabe proton packs, and like I remember the trap was like a circle. It was just like nothing to turn me on.
The original Turtles had a pretty impressive run from 87 to 96.
That's impressive, you know. That's
9 years,
10
seasons,
9 seasons,
and 193 episodes.
Almost 200 episodes. That's pretty good.
200, I think, is like winning 300 wins a base. 200 episodes is massive. How do you think Seinfeld? They had 9 seasons. They didn't reach the 200 mark.
No, they didn't.
Well, a lot of these things, like the first Turtle season was 6 episodes. The first Seinfeld season was something along those lines.
Yeah, it was the first, you know, because it's usually a pilot, and then
so
if it works,
people like this.
Make a short 12 or
and
8 episodes.
It's for the Turtles.
Simpsons too. Simpsons, I think, was only 12 episodes the first season.
It was really made just to sell the toys. That was entirely...
So many things.
Let's make a kind of whatever cartoon on a very vague comic, and let's pipe out a toy line with the cartoon.
That was huge in the 80s because merchandising became so tremendous after Star Wars that everybody was trying to milk things like that.
But Turtles was done right. It was edgy,
Turtles was done
well. It was interesting.
Transformers 2 was solely made to sell toys.
Yeah. That was a little before my time, but...
Yeah. Power Rangers, similar, you know, big on toys.
Rangers, though, Japanese kind of. Turtles is
But
American.
true, but you know what? Power Rangers was made by a Israeli. I know it was big in Japan, but I don't think it was. Saban is actually Israeli.
Saban's Israeli? No way.
Yeah. The guy, he's a billionaire too.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but I know it had it. I think the show was originally in Japan. I gotta see. I'll check into that.
It had to have Japanese roots.
But I know the guy Saban was is Israeli.
Another very interesting fact about the Turtles cartoon was James Avery. People know him as Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil,
the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Was the voice of the short. Yeah, he certainly liked his potatoes. So does Melissa McCarthy.
In the episode of what's it called? In the episode, McCarthy guy. So in the episode of Will Smith where Uncle Phil's on a diet, he starts dreaming of like delicious foods that he wants to eat. He's like, pillowy mounds of mashed potatoes.
He was a likable, fat uncle.
He just died, I think, last year.
Yeah, I think he had a cardiac issue. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Hefty over, dude. You know,
he
big,
looked like
big
an
guy.
ethnic James Gandolfini. You know.
Yeah, he was. He was like a black James Gandolfini. I think I liked him more than James Gandolfini, though.
Yeah, I would agree with you. At least he played like prominent.
Yeah.
Even Shredder was cooler than James, Sopranos.
Than Uncle Phil, yeah. Exactly.
But I'll give respect to Gandolfini. I'm a Rutgers alum. He's a Rutgers alum. You gotta put that shout out there.
Oh yeah. I'll give him the credit where credit is due, and then.
That's why the Simpsons. You're looking at like 625 episodes. That's just
that's friggin' insane.
The Turtles 190. Super impressive, but 625.
Yeah, that's a huge feat. So that is the longest running TV show.
Oh,
we'll confirm that
without a doubt.
Yeah. At least for American prime time shows, that's the longest. So it's crazy. All right, we'll go. The next thing is for all you Rocky lovers out there. Apollo, they're making the next Rocky movie or a spinoff called Apollo about Apollo Creed's son, and they've released the trailer. I've been hearing about it for a bit, and they finally released the trailer, and we watched it. What'd you think, Sean, of the trailer?
So I was thinking, it's gonna be this kind of Creed's backstory. So I'm like, that's cool. Have a little retro kind of 70s feel. I'm all about that.
Yeah, Sean likes his period movies.
Disappointed me. It's not Creed's backstory. It's Creed's
illegitimate son,
bastard kid.
we're assuming. Well, he did have kids in the movie, but in the trailer,
it shows
he says,
his relationship.
I don't know him.
I hate my father.
Yeah,
he's dead.
Yeah,
but he's not like the Jon Snow bastard that you root for. He seemed very cocky and ill-likable, kind of like Floyd Mayweather to me. I can't stand Floyd Mayweather.
The character's being played by actor Michael B. Jordan.
And he looks familiar with any of his other movies are in.
Yeah, he's been in some schlock. My computer's running, my equipment's running damn slow here. But he's been in some stuff. I can't think of it offhand. And how many what did you say?
I'm looking. Oh, we'll see the Rocky.
Yeah. So but he's been in other things, and he's a known actor. And so I'm a big I've seen them all. I love them all. Or I love Rocky 1. I like Rocky 2. I really like Rocky 3. I really like Rocky 4. I despise Rocky 5.
Oh, is that Rocky Balboa that came out?
No. That's Rocky 6. Rocky Balboa is Rocky 6.
Balboa is awful.
You don't like Rocky Balboa, the sixth one? The one that came out in 06?
Embarrassing to me. I recently saw the first Rocky for the first time.
Yeah, Sean hadn't seen the original Rocky.
I'd say within the last 10 days or so. And I was blown away. It was a captivating, fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's great.
But what I learned, it's the best, I think. Rocky 4, those two are the best. But Rocky is the best, in my opinion.
Rocky 1's probably the best, but Rocky 3 is great in its own way because it's like the roles reverse. Like Rocky now is like the arrogant, rich champion, kind of like Apollo was in the first one, Like, yeah, I'll do whatever I want. I'm doing American Express commercials. I drive the Maserati, Mercedes. Blah, blah.
I like the trailer, not to interrupt, but you do a fantastic impression.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's like, what is this? Is this a smartphone?
Yeah. In the trailer, because Michael B. Jordan or Apollo's son goes into Rocky's restaurant. He has a restaurant
Balboa's or something.
No,
Adrian's.
Adrian's. Yeah, so you've seen Rocky 6. Yeah, Adrian's restaurant in Philadelphia. He's like, and then he's like, "Oh, this is when you and my father fought." Oh no, you and Apollo fought. I heard there was a third fight that no one knew about. He's like, how you know all this? Well, you got a smartphone or something? Will you use the internet? Will you been on Wikipedia or something? How you know all this stuff? Yeah. No, he's my father. Your father? Oh, I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm interested to watch it. I'll watch it like I watched Rocky Balboa.
Fact about the actress who played Adrian. She's
Talia Shire, yeah.
Jason Schwartzman's mom. He was in a bunch of movies.
I know who Jason. That Talia Shire's his mom.
That's his mom.
Well, you know that whose sister that is. It's Francis Ford Coppola's sister.
Really?
Yeah, she plays the sister in The Godfather.
Yeah, she's the Godfather.
Yeah, Talia Shire.
Coppola, Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Coppola.
He's like, I'm not living off
yeah.
Italian coattails.
I don't need to live off my family's name. I'm gonna be called Cage. Oh, by the way, I lost all my money. Can I become Coppola again? That guy lost hundreds of millions of dollars in a lifetime.
He's weird because he's a very iconic actor, but
yeah, he's an eclectic dude.
He kind of invented his own acting style.
Yeah, I did. Okay, let's do it. Okay, wow, great. What's your favorite Nick Cage flick?
Face Off's fantastic.
I was gonna say Face Off. Face Off might be my number one.
The Las Vegas movie's dark flick.
Yeah, with Elizabeth Shue. Yeah,
he plays an alcoholic and kills himself.
Okay, he's preparing to kill himself, and she's a hooker. Yeah,
and he falls in love with a prostitute.
Yeah,
That's
always on TV, too.
I watched it.
I don't think I've ever seen it in its entirety. I'd watch like a third here,
It's a brutal watch. I watched it before going to bed.
Literally always on, yeah.
You watch it before going to bed, and you're like, what is this?
What year is like 87 or something?
It's a good question later than that. But it's a brutal movie.
Yeah, it's a dark,
depressing
watch. One.
It's very dark.
I watched Snake Eyes with him recently. That movie sucks. It's like but you know what? The only reason I like it's because it's an Atlantic City movie. It's like, oh, I know Atlantic City. Look, that's the boardwalk. That's the Taj Mahal. That's the Trump whatever.
Really great movie with Jared Leto, who's massive right now. Is Lord of War.
Lord of War is a good one.
It's a fantastic.
That's what Cage is in that.
It's Cage and Leto plays his cocaine brother.
Right.
He gets murdered in Africa doing stupid things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's a weird actor.
I didn't see that in its entirety either. I never got to finish it.
It's a must. I recommend it to all the viewers out there.
Yeah, I gotta bang that out. Yeah, try it. Yeah.
So weird side note, not to interrupt, but we go on the episode list. So Pokemon had an astounding. It's even more than The Simpsons.
That's what I thought. They had it was every day that show.
Thing is, half of these things, they were aired in Japan.
Yeah.
Majority of them, but it's an astounding number that is really surprising. With the last one being aired, it goes on and on.
It just goes on and on into the night.
Almost in the 800s here.
Damn. That's the original Pokemon? Because they kept changing. They had so many Pokemon this and Pokemon Islands of Adventure.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Give me your
Pokemon
money.
XD. Yeah. Pokemon. Get your debit cards ready.
Pokemon, we go to the park. They just ran out of ideas. But
yeah.
So the last American aired episode was actually 4th of July.
What year? 2003 or 2004?
Actually, this year.
Good idea. The original
July
show.
4th, 2015. Was the last aired episode.
The other day? Wait, are they still making new episodes, or is that the last episode?
There's about 10 ahead in Japan.
So there's so it's not.
So the U.S. number is 865.
So they're still making them.
The Japanese number is 884. So there was I know the Porygon episode was on air because of seizures.
I remember that. I saw that episode.
I'm sure there's like sexual innuendo. The Japs have some.
There's a lot of that in that show, actually. You know,
but actually
like this subversive
surprisingly,
humor.
The last new episode of Pokemon was over this holiday on Saturday.
But that's not the very last episode. That's just the last episode that's been aired so far, and that was a new episode.
It's called Beyond the Rainbow.
Oh God, how did they go 800 episodes? Like what?
Well, we gotta realize every new game they keep releasing.
They just spill out new
guys.
Pokemon, yeah.
The 150, iconically, I know all of them.
I know all the 151, sure.
Brainwashed, right in my head.
Even the ones
Silver,
after
gold,
that,
I know. After that, it goes. Through the roof.
I tell you, I couldn't name really many or any of them.
The
And I played the card game with the newer ones. Oh yeah.
Zapdos
Dragonite, Porygon.
We all grew up with that.
You know.
Brock, Lieutenant Sir. I know the gym leaders I even know.
Yeah, all the gym leaders, sure.
But after that, it just gets
it's just
out the window.
Over my head right there. But yeah, so that was a big portion of the late 90s and the early 2000s, the Pokemon craze. And it's still going on today, which is interesting.
Yeah, the little kid, I mean, it's a little kid's game, but yeah, it's huge. I was at McDonald's the other day. I saw these, Chinese kids playing with it, playing the cards.
Oh, really?
I'm glad to see that it still has a...
Yeah, because it kind of like, we know that,
I loved it as a kid, and, it's a cool game. It's interesting. And I think it has legs. It definitely has legs.
Definitely got legs, sure. Yeah, so, maybe not for our age range, but...
When you're playing Pokemon in your 30s...
People still do it.
I isolate, viewers out there.
We were playing... No, of course, if you do it, good. But we were playing... In the wintertime, we were playing Magic the Gathering at a local card store, and a lot of adults were playing Pokemon. And I was actually one of the best in the world. So, the funny thing is, like I mentioned, it's like, I was actually, number one in the world in 2001.
We were avid players in...
Yeah, we were actually top players in this Pokemon game.
About 12 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
But it was a great game. It was definitely interesting.
Yeah, Pokemon was good, and Magic is still very playable too.
I'm still into Magic the Gathering. It's difficult to play. It requires time and effort, but fantastic, unbelievable game.
Yeah, you need to because to play like you can play with fun with your friends, but if you want to play competitively, kind of got to make a career out of it, because like a lot of these kids that you see at these tournaments are younger. They're in high school, so they have the available free time. As adults, it's like
I looked at that as a massive tournament in Vegas for the Modern Masters. They got 40,000 something players.
It's a lot of players. Magic's big now. It's like bigger than it was even when I was playing in 2001.
It's Hasbro's number one money maker.
Really?
They got toys.
Wow.
It's Hasbro.
Yeah, Hasbro scooped up was the coast
Wizards
10, 12, 13, 15 years
Wizards
ago.
did initially make Pokemon, but I think
Nintendo has it now.
They lost when Wizards was making the cards. They were better at it.
Yeah, Wizards was definitely better at it.
Nintendo taking over the reins.
Yeah.
The card game definitely went massively minor to what it was.
Well, I think that they 04 or 03 Nintendo took it over.
Last sets I remember being active with was the Neos.
Yeah, that was it. I couldn't even.
That was the end.
The Pokemon Neos was it for me.
2 SDS. You did remarkably well the first one.
Well, you did.
No,
the
second one.
The second one,
you guys still played. I took a little hiatus.
I came in number 2, and the first day at like 500 people, and then 3 in the second day of about 500 people.
I just missed top 8 by 1 win.
Yeah, the first Sean went 6-2 in the first East Coast SDS.
You need 6-1, yeah. So I came in like 18th or something.
Yeah. You just.
And I remember I could have went 7-1, but
I
didn't have it translated for alligator.
It's a good record. I mean, because you weren't like I was more dedicated than you were, and you did better than me in the first one. So 6-2 is a good record, and I did 5-3.
Yeah, but do that in Magic, it's like massive. Insane.
You're playing against like adults that play this game. Like you have to make it a career. I was like, who has time for that? Who has time to
very
make
good at it. You're not gonna make 6 figures. You might.
Yeah, if you're the best of the best.
But you have to be massive devotion to understatement.
You'd be, that's something you'd be better off doing if you're already if you're already rich, if you already have like 10 million in your bank account, and you're like, well, I just want to play Magic for a living, then you could do that.
The thing is, you see like celebrity poker, you don't see celebrity Magic players.
No.
There might be a few out there.
Well, poker, you gotta actually make money in it. There's no money in Magic. Like there's if you're.
I played on a hobby.
Yeah,
basis.
we play it on a hobby basis, exactly. But again, it's even to play it on a hobby,
a
competitive basis. You have to like still devote time and energy to it and money, you know. So like, because like play with your friends, you could play with any schlock cards, but it's like, well, that's no fun. Let's play with the tournament decks that everyone plays with, and then you go to tournaments and you get waxed. And it's like,
there's nothing worse than going like 1-3.
Yeah, 1-3, and like get scrubbed by like 16-year-olds.
Yeah, like 14-year-old B2, and you're like,
yeah,
why are you fucking stupid?
That's why my heart's not.
I do a pre-release here and there, but
yeah, you know, so
still a very nostalgic game, very fun game.
We were just mentioning how the first time, because we played Pokemon before Magic, the first time I got my hands on Magic cards was, I'm pretty sure it was Duelist Magazine was one of them. I was actually looking for one of those, I don't know if it was a promo Pokemon card in it or something, and there was a pack of Mercadian masks.
I remember the promos being in like players guides, which
there was one in there was the what's it called one in
Pokemon
Player's
trading
Guide.
Card Game Boy Color was a
that
Venusaur.
Was the Pokemon trading card game for
Venusaur foil.
had the Venusaur. In fact, I remember one kid had it. I was like, "Where did you get that?" And he's like, "Psst, come here." He's like, he was a little older. I was like 12. He might have been 16.
Were you guys swiping them from the Toys R Us?
What happened was they didn't have that thing in Toys R Us. He was like, "It's at the Kmart." Over there's on Richmond Avenue. There's a Toys R Us. That's where we were.
Staten Island, New York.
Staten Island, New York. But across the way there was a Kmart. Actually, is now a Target. He's like, you go over to the Kmart. He's like, they're in there. And I was like, let's go. So we ran over there. It was like, you know, in the shopping plaza. So we go over there and we like go into like the aisle where they were, and it was like empty. He was like, oh, here they are. And we opened the magazines and they were all gone. Every single one of them. There was like 10 magazines of that.
Yeah, plastic. Yeah, that shit behind the counter. You gotta swipe city.
Because after that they started putting those magazines in bags, but this was before the time that they would put the magazines that had stuff in it in bags. Yeah, it's just yoinking the card, had like a $10 value and then dipping with it. But
remember the Meowth foil was in the Game Boy.
Meowth foil was in the Game Boy game itself. So there was a lot of like specialty cards to like that had all these rare cards. Or the Porygon promo was
N64, but they re-released it and then it was worth peanuts.
Exactly, because
same as the Jigglypuff.
Exactly. Well, we had the Jigglypuff promo card. You could only get it if you sent away for.
You had to buy some like horribly gay cassette tape.
You had to buy the cassette tape to the theme track to the movie.
If you're any 8-year-old that bought, even the people that you might have been 8, they're still like, oh, you're buying this.
I did it for the purpose of the mail away, because you had the mail away for the card, and I remember getting
his dad's like, you bought this?
Yeah, it was a cassette tape to the soundtrack for the Pokemon movie. And so I ended up getting the card, and the card had a good value. It was a $30 value at the time. And then we went to one of those mall tours, the Pokemon mall tours that used to happen back in the early 2000s, late 90s. And one of the Wizards of the Coast people, we were chatting, and he was like a master trainer, he was calling him, or Lieutenant Surge or whatever. And he ended up giving me a stack of them, a thick stack. He's like, here, take these, and I'm like, what? They were worth $30 a pop at the time. And of course, me as a kid didn't think about selling them. And then they redistributed that, and now it's worth nothing.
Unlike Magic cards, Pokemon cards' value didn't progress too well.
Yeah, I still have a page of Charizard.
Majority of them are worth peanuts.
Yeah, for the most part. I'll hold on.
It's like my older Magic cards, like I had some Rishnan ports.
Yeah, well, those still hold their value.
$90 a piece. Play sets, $400.
Because they're still used in certain types of play. They're still used in legacy play, which is using all the cards that go back to the 93.
You talk about Black Lotus.
Yeah, well, those are cards that are worth thousands and thousands.
Shitty
of dollars.
Conditions, $2-3 grand. Yeah. That's if it's battered and played beyond belief.
When I first started playing, that card was only worth $400. Now to get a beta Black Lotus, what are they worth? Like $30,000 or something like that.
You're an alpha mint. You're reaching in outrageous territory.
Yeah, but I know somebody's got one listed on eBay for $100,000. I doubt they'll get that.
It would be cool. I mean, it's a ridiculous waste of money. Just have like the mock set, frame them.
Yeah, exactly.
If 5 moxes.
Well, if I ever become to the point where I could just buy things that are worth obscene amounts of money and just to have them,
it'd be beautiful to see. It's like real jewelry almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's a conversation.
It's actually more expensive than real jewelry.
This is my Black Lotus. You mean that trading card?
The mock set. Yeah, and it's so cool looking.
Yeah,
all
the Power 9. Yeah.
No, I'll just buy the Moxes, frame them.
Frame them.
Oh man,
this is my Moxes. They're more expensive than real jewelry.
What asshole spent $15 grand on 5 cards?
Spent how much for this stuff? It's like, I can afford it.
Could have bought a vehicle rent for a year and a half.
Yeah, exactly. And the first time I had gotten my hands on I think Magic cards before Pokemon was in one of those magazines. I'm gonna try to find a picture of it and then post it. It was in one of those magazines because I was looking for one of those promo Pokemon cards, and inside it had a pack of Mercadian masks.
It's funny, it's the same exact experience.
Sean had the same experience.
I was like, I think of Walden books and Staten Island Mall. I think it's a Foot Locker now.
Yeah. There was two bookstores in the mall. There was Walden Books. What was the one on the first floor that was across the way from Hot Topic? That was where Hot Topic used to be, not where it is now in the mall. Because Hot Topic in the mall used to be the first
Borders,
floor.
maybe?
Oh yeah, there's the other one, Borders. So that was Borders. So which one was Walden Books? I thought
one downstairs.
That's the one.
Green. It was like green and
that's
brown.
Isn't that the one that was across from Hot Topic though?
Hot Topic was upstairs. It's still there to this.
Hot Topic was originally downstairs in the late 90s. It was originally downstairs.
Then Walden Books is downstairs.
Near the Sears. Like the Sears opening, and then there was the Walden Books, and the
Walden was downstairs. 100%.
Near the Sears, though.
Maybe Hot Topic moved. I know it's upstairs
but
now.
Right, it did move. But was the Walden Books was?
No, it's downstairs, 100%.
I know the Walden Books was downstairs. I'm talking about
the other one was upstairs. You're not gonna have two bookstores in the same,
Okay, so I'm thinking about the one that was down. That was the bookstore in the mall. That was the one I remember.
Now there's zero. It's funny.
Now there's zero. Well, who needs a bookstore when you got Amazon?
Who reads? You
reads? I got my tablet here. But Barnes and Noble. There's a Barnes and Noble. They have a big building. I wonder what's going to happen with those. You think they're going to go the way they go?
I'm a traditionalist. I still like reading paper books.
I have books, but I read books. But
people just go there to hang out. They buy $12 Starbucks drink.
Exactly. They have like $8 cup.
If I was in college,
muffin.
I would hang out there.
Yeah.
My college library, I had to go to the library because I lived in a party house. It was people drinking and doing narcotics is not the ideal learning environment.
No.
But my coffee, the food was horrendous in my library, so I would have went to Barnes and Nobles to do my schoolwork. If you're a college student, it's the ideal environment.
Naturally,
you can have distractions. You go look at some graphic novels. They got DVDs.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So I guess that works out well for you in that kind of world. But I know a lot. I'll even put up a picture of. Hopefully, maybe if I can find it, I'll find a picture of the old Walden Books in the Staten Island Mall. But the Walden Books was at the near the Sears wing, right?
It's downstairs.
Downstairs near the Sears wing, though. Do you remember if it was near the Sears wing?
We both got our first pack there. There you go.
That's where you got your first pack of Mercadian
Correct.
masks?
In the magazine.
In the magazine. I'll post a picture of that too.
Did as well.
So that's it for this week. We guys, if you like what you hear, follow us on the Retrocade Podcast Facebook page. I'll be putting all the pictures up relevant to this, plus links to all other cool stuff in articles. Also, if you're listening to us on iTunes, it'd be great. You could give us a 5-star review if you like it, whatever. And then and also we're on Stitcher if you want to listen to us, Podomatic, anything like that. Sean, where can they find you? They can't find Sean anywhere on social media.
Yeah, I'll be out there.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram as
Facebook
Philly_boy, and then I'm also Philly. I think I'm Philly M on Twitter. I don't even know. I'll put those links on the on our Retrocade page, guys. Have a great week. I hope you enjoy 4th. Enjoy your summer. And keep watching the stars.